Carson Wentz is a very good quarterback with the best PR team in the NFL. He has survived on two elements that aren't without value, but shouldn't be the beginning and end of the conversation. He has survived on talent, which he has, and draft status, which he has. The fact that Carson Wentz was picked so high in the draft and can make throws that only Patrick Mahomes can make has left guys like, well, my buddy Dan Orlovsky drooling and praising Carson Wentz at every turn, every week, and every year. Here was Dan Orlovsky this morning on Get Up.
What Carson Wentz has done this year is more impressive than 2017. He has become everything that everybody said he wasn't or that he couldn't do. He's taken the Thor hammer and absolutely smashed it. And I would say in totality, right, in the grand picture of everything, the whole season, not just this game, in the grand picture, this is the second most impressive quarterback performance of the season, because what he did with what he was given is absolutely remarkable. Also the coaching staff and the organization. But they can win this game. Nobody in the playoffs wants to play Carson Wentz right now.
The second best quarterback season of 2019. Better than Patrick Mahomes. Better than Russell Wilson. Only behind Lamar Jackson. Please, Dan, please. Carson Wentz solidified a playoff berth on the backs of a 4-1 December. And I give him credit. I truly do. See, that's the thing. There's no nuance in this conversation. There's no room for in between. If I tell you that Carson Wentz is overpraised, you think I'm telling you Carson Wentz is trash. I'm not. I think Carson Wentz is very, very good. And I think he has the best PR team in the league. I think Carson Wentz will one day be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but I think today he's still behind Dak Prescott. And I think if we're going to talk up his 2019 season, we need to talk about how he arrived at that 4-1 record in December. I think we need to talk about the way the Eagles made the playoffs. And it went like this here. First game of December, Eagles lost to the Miami Dolphins, 37-31. The 5-11 by the end of the season Miami Dolphins were the Eagles' first game of December, and they lost it. The Eagles then went on their run. They went on their winning streak. They won 4 games in a row. Went like this. The Eagles beat the 4-12 New York Giants 23-17 in a super big 1-touchdown blowout. The next week, the Eagles beat the 3-13 Redskins 37-27. 10 points against the 3-13 Redskins. Then the Eagles went on to beat the best team they faced in December, the 500 Dallas Cowboys, 17-9. And finally, to finish the season, and by the way, in no small part due to a defensive touchdown, the Eagles beat the 4-12 New York Giants again, 34-17. This is the second best season by a quarterback in 2019. This is why we're throwing rose petals at Carson Wentz's feet. I swear, because of talent, because of draft status, I've never seen, certainly not in politics, where everybody is drug through the mud. And not in sports, where even Patrick Mahomes somehow has his detractors. I've never seen among analysts, among quote-unquote experts, the universal praise that Carson Wentz gets. I push back today not to tell you that he's trash. Let me say that for the third time today. I push back to say you might be overrating him just a tad when he's making his first ever playoff appearance this weekend. John in Mississippi, you're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Cain.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Do you think Dallas would have made the playoffs with Carson Wentz? And you got to consider this. He's the first quarterback in the history to throw 4,000 yards without one 500-yard receiving anybody, tight end, wide receiver. What do you think about that?
All right, I'm going to address both points, John. Number one is number 2 on your list. You're right. That's really impressive. There's no doubt that Carson Wentz was doing this with second and third string skill position players. And this particular stretch and this particular season, he had to do more with less. But let me be clear, that hasn't been the story of Carson Wentz's career. Carson Wentz has been playing with a Super Bowl roster most of his career and a Super Bowl coach his entire career. This is the same team that Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with. The same coach that schemed up a backup quarterback to a Super Bowl championship. Carson Wentz isn't some guy throughout his career that's been deprived of talent and coaching. It isn't like Dak Prescott has had all these riches that Carson Wentz hasn't had, except in this home stretch of the 2019 season, where it's true that Carson Wentz had to make more with less. And I want to give him credit for that. I don't want to take away to say he hasn't played very well. For the fourth time, I emphasize that. But we're talking about people putting him in MVP conversations. We're talking about people putting him next to Lamar Jackson, ahead of Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about this year after year after year. And to address your first point, John, do I think the Dallas Cowboys would have made the playoffs with Carson Wentz at quarterback? I do not. Why would I? I don't think he's better than Dak Prescott. I don't think Dak played at the top of his game as we went along in the season, but I don't think he was that far behind Carson. Not in December. Cowboys' problems were deeper. Much, much deeper, much, much bigger than what was going on at the quarterback position.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.